for the spring 22 semester here up at Cayuga. I figured when I heard some shouting. Good evening and welcome to Beyond the Front Page, a show produced for the spring 22 semester here at Cayuga Community College and broadcast on ARMA, the Auburn Regional Media Access, on our radio station 89.1, as well as Spectrum, Verizon, Fios as well. I'm your host, Guy Cosentino. We are happy to welcome back into the studio the Schweinfurth Art Center's Executive Director, Donna Lamb. One of the leading arts operations in central New York, if not in all of upstate, the Schweinfurth has been known for its exhibits, especially its quilt show every fall. But the Schweinfurth is more than just exhibits, with its Quilting by the Lake program and also its excellent programs for young artists that we'll be talking about over the next half hour. We've also asked her on to talk about what the state of the arts has been with COVID and how it's impacted the arts world, and also talk about the progress that they've been making with the Downtown Revitalization Initiative for the West End Arts Campus that they're doing with the Cayuga Museum. We'll cover hopefully all of that in the next 28 minutes. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Great to see you. Usually when I see you, you and I are masked at Wegmans,
Yes.
So walking around. So how did the Schweinfurth fare during the pandemic?
Well, it was challenging, as it was for every organization. But I have to say, we had lots of great support during the pandemic between state and federal grants. That really helped keep us going.
So what would you have said, looking back at the last 26 months? And I know we're not through it, but hopefully you've turned the corner, and many other arts and cultural institutions have. And we had Karen call here the other day from tourism. Everybody's dealing with it in different ways.
Right.
What was your biggest challenge?
Well, like a lot of organizations, most of our income-generating programs were canceled
For both
during that
2020
time.
and 2021?
Many, yes.
Okay.
All of our workshops and classes generate most of our earned income, and those were pretty much all canceled, especially in 2020. By 2021, we had figured out how to convert those to online classes, which helped a great deal.
So we're only into the first 3 months of the new year.
Yep.
Are things getting back to normal for you and your staff?
In many ways, I think this year is going to be just as challenging as the previous two, because we don't have that extra support that was coming in from things like PPP, grants.
So your organization, and I know Ms. Cole talked about this as well, you and many other organizations did payroll protection program.
Yep.
Did you get other relief programs as well?
There were several local foundations that had special COVID-related grants.
I know Allen and Emerson both did programs like that.
So we were able to take advantage of those opportunities. But the thing that's happening this year is we're not returning exactly to our 2019 numbers in terms of
That's what I was wondering.
attendance. So that's still having an impact on our overall revenue.
So in two parts, let's deal with we're still in some form of a pandemic.
Yes.
Do you have masking and vaccination requirements?
Well, we did. We've changed them just recently
To follow the state.
the state, and we now are recommending wearing masks and being vaccinated. And what's happening is a lot of our visitors are continuing to wear masks. The staff that is dealing with the public is continuing to wear masks.
And during the pandemic, did you have to cut staff?
We did not. We were
Okay. 'Cause
very
I know some
fortunate.
organizations did.
We were very fortunate to be able to keep everyone on. And interestingly, at the very start of the pandemic, we were already closed because we were under construction for putting in our new HVAC system. So we had planned to be closed for the first few months of
And who couldn't use a good HVAC
20.
system right now?
So,
But that was the right time to do
Yeah.
it, only from the perspective
yeah,
that that's going to allow you, especially as we're all looking at air
Right.
quality
right,
for the Art Center.
right.
So one of the items was in the progress section that was in the Citizen the other day. It was a startling number for me when I looked at it. Was, and I think this is from the tourism office, in 2020, both you and the Seward House were down 75%, drop in admission revenue, and 70% in attendance. I'm assuming those numbers are 2020 numbers?
Yeah, yeah.
They're accurate?
Yes.
How do you keep your doors open?
Well, our admissions is only a small part of our overall earned revenue. And our expenses were down. We did fewer exhibits in 2020. So it's a matter of expenses being down as well as income.
So some numbers came back in 2021, and we won't have those for some time yet.
Right.
For all of you, you may know your numbers. Were you up? Were you back on the incline up to pre-2019 numbers?
We're better than we were in 2020 for
Okay.
sure, but we're not back to where we were in
Not even now.
2019. No.
Okay. So I want to get to some great programs you have there, but I want to talk about generally about the arts and COVID. So a lot of museums, a lot of art centers, you work with a lot of your colleagues. How do the arts fare during the last 2 years?
Well, I would say it's been really tough, and it's been tough for arts organizations and tough for artists. And
So how tough are artists? What would be tough?
Well, there are a lot of artists who earn their living or supplement their income by doing work for other arts organizations. We hire artists to teach our art classes. There are artists.
You don't pay exhibitors for the most part, though.
Sometimes. Yeah.
Okay.
There are fees for artists that are in exhibits.
But for example, you have both ends of the rainbow today.
That one.
That'll go till Sunday, which is a great exhibit. Both ends of the rainbow, because we'll explain what both ends of the rainbow.
Both ends of the rainbow is our annual exhibit of children's artwork from around the county and also senior citizens.
And that runs till
this weekend.
So
Saturday is the last
So if you're
day.
watching this on Saturday, it's closed as of today. So, but if you're watching it today, so
artists are opportunities for artists
we're limited. And
dried up, and
and
especially performing artists. Being able, if you're a musician or a band, those opportunities to go out and play were few and far between.
Do you see a pathway when you talk to your fellow museum and art center? You are not a museum, you are an art center. There's a difference. When you talk to your colleagues in other parts of the state or the nation, how long is it going to be to recover?
Well, I think a lot of places are on their way to recovery. We were very fortunate in that we actually reopened in August of 2020 for exhibitions only, because we felt we could control the situation with mask wearing and social distancing. Okay. But while we could do that because we have a large space and a small number of people, that wouldn't work for a place, say, like Auburn Public Theater, where people are sitting close together in a packed theater. So we were lucky to be able to do that. So I think visual arts organizations and museums probably were able to bring back programs sooner than a lot of other arts organizations.
So a lot of things that we don't get to see, you get to see because you look at a lot of slides. I don't even know if they're slides anymore. They're most like digital pictures.
Mm-hmm.
You look at a lot of artwork.
Mm-hmm.
So when what's your next exhibit?
Made in New York.
I know you didn't necessarily. you tell me what you thought in the past. You would have been the person who would have gone through all of those slides. You're going to be surprised this year.
Yes, I did not.
So it's going to be like
sit
Christmas
through the
for
jury
you.
system. Yes.
You're going to open things and say, "Oh."
That's right.
But normally you would see either digital. People don't show up with their
right. They
wood carving.
submit. There's a whole process where people submit digital images and they complete an online application, and then all of the works that are submitted are juried by a panel of artists.
So what you have seen since, let's just say, January of 2020, have the artists had work that is darker or more vibrant and hopeful?
Well, it will be interesting to see. That's something I'm definitely curious about with Made in New York, which is the next exhibition.
How was it for Beyond the
Well, I was just going to say, for both ends of the rainbow, we had artwork with portraits of people wearing masks, for instance, and pictures, abstracted designs of the COVID virus. So I'm expecting that it will turn up in some of the artwork.
And do you think it turns up for some time?
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you've got Made in New York. First of all, for somebody who has never gone, my favorite one was, I want to say, it was a giant piece in the middle of you move the walls. You have these movable walls. It was this wood piece with, I don't want to say it was a jack from a Jack's game, but it was a big piece. All I can envision is this wood piece that you had in there. So it's different things. It's not stuff that you're going to...
It's open to everything from paintings to drawing, photography, sculpture. I saw a ceramic piece come in today.
And the only criteria besides getting through your judges is it has to be made in New York.
Yes.
And a fun thing that's not going to open, so Made in New York should open roughly about the 1st of April.
Yes, it's March 26th.
Okay. It won't open right then and there, but right after that, you're going to have another piece, which I think is really cool. So what are you doing elsewhere?
We are working with Lauren Covington, who's a local artist, who's going to be doing a neon installation in our second floor gallery.
So is it neon lights or neon?
Neon lights.
Oh, okay.
That he's just starting to work on. It won't be open for the Made in New York opening, but people will have a chance to go.
So you'll do a separate opening.
Look in on what he's doing.
So this is not beer signs.
No. But the interesting thing about it, and one of the things I love about what the Art Center has to offer, is that it's kind of like a lab for a local artist to come in and experiment.
So this artist is from where?
Skinny Atlas.
Skinny Atlas, okay.
Yep. So we've worked with him before. He did the light projections that we had in front of the building during 2020. And we feel very fortunate to be able to work with him because he is incredibly skilled and is doing some amazing work. And every now and then when we kind of have an opening, he's offered to step in and fill it in by using it as an opportunity to create a new project.
So when somebody comes, in the next 2 days, if you go to Made in New York or you go to, both ends of the rainbow, or you go to Made in New York, is there an admission?
Yes, for both ends of the rainbow, it's free.
Okay.
And otherwise, our admission is $10, but free for members and children 12 and under.
So what else do you have planned for we'll get to art camp and all that, and not quilting. We'll leave that to last.
Okay.
What other exhibits do you have planned for 2022?
Well, in the summer, we're going to have an exhibition called Excellence in Fibers, which is put together by an international fiber arts magazine called Fiber Arts Now. And it's going to be all kinds of fiber art from artists internationally, and that will be in the main gallery. And then we have a regional artist, Vanessa Johnson, who's going to have an exhibition at the Schweinfurth and at the Cayuga Museum at the same time about Harriet Tubman. And
as part of
they're
the
going
centennial.
to, yes, as part of the centennial. And it's also part of a series we've been doing with the Cayuga Museum, where we each have an exhibit by a single artist. So it's getting people to go to both institutions.
So you've been with the Art Center, what, 25 years?
Almost. 22.
22, okay.
Yep.
So, but during your tenure, there's been several directors over next door. At
Yep.
the Cayuga Museum, but you have tried to partner successfully. I don't mean this in a tried and failed. You have partnered so that when you do go to one institution, you go see some companion piece next door.
Yes, and we've made an extra effort to do that in the last 2 years.
The other item that, and again, I'm going to hold off quilts because I know that's your big thing, and I say that nicely, is did you run some great programs for children? You have art camps.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm assuming you did an art camp 2 weeks ago or last week when children were on break.
February art camp.
Will you do another art camp for the spring break?
Yes, we have another one coming up, and then we will have 4 weeks of art camp in the summer. And I would love to point out to people that we have scholarships available for those programs.
So I know you most likely have a closing window for the spring break. How much does it cost to attend, roughly?
Oh, I'm going to have to refer people to our website for that.
But if you sign up for that, you can. But it's for a week. And
it's a week, Monday through Friday.
And does it go all day?
In the morning.
Just
in the
morning.
It's half a day. Yeah.
And what do children learn?
It's a different program every year. So, for instance, in the summer, Vanessa Johnson, who is the artist that's going to be featured in our gallery, Julius, will be teaching class for kids. And so we try to feature artists who are also exhibiting with us.
And do you, when you sign up for the summer program, are you signing up for all 4 weeks or 1 week at a time?
No, you sign up 1 week at a time, and if you go to the website, there will be a description of exactly what class is offered each week.
So each week it will be something different.
Right.
So quilts. So the Schweinfurth is known, and it was known before you got there for one part of my question, and that is the quilt show. It usually runs around the beginning of November to just right around the
first weekend in January.
First weekend. So were you able to do the quilt show the last 2 years?
Yes, we did. And it's we had very successful shows, probably our best attended shows each year, but still not quite at the same level as 2019. And we reduced all last year. We eliminated our opening receptions. We eliminated any of the live programming that we would normally do.
Will you go back to that?
We are. And in fact, we are going to have our first reception for Made in New York.
First one in 2 years.
Yes. Yes.
So is the quilt show the biggest show you do every year? I mean, attendance-wise.
Attendance-wise, yes. Yes.
So the other item that most people may not know of for a variety of reasons you call it QBL, but it's Quilting by the Lake. First of all, what is it?
Quilting by the Lake is a 2-week quilting conference that brings teachers and students from across the country, even internationally, brings them together for 2 weeks of quilting classes and workshops.
And you were not able to do this the last 2 years?
We did not do it the last 2 years. It's our biggest program and generates a lot of our earned revenue. So that was really tough. It was tough for the participants because it's a much beloved program. So people were really disappointed.
For those who were participants, though, whether they were learning something or teaching something, where do you hold it?
We hold it at Onondaga Community College.
And I used to be on your board.
Yep.
So you know,
Yep.
why is it at Onondaga versus not necessarily Cayuga or Wells,
Yep.
but why is it in a different
Well,
college, which is not on the lake?
I know. Let me just say that we would love to have it closer to Auburn and in Cayuga County, but we need an accessible facility with housing. We provide all of our participants with room and board.
So how many people usually attend?
Well, pre-COVID.
No, so how many attended in 2019?
It could be 150 to 200 people.
And they stay the full week in a dorm?
Some of them stay all 2 weeks. Probably about a quarter of them stay all 2 weeks, and the rest might come for 1 week or the other. But part of...
And when is it held?
It's the last 2 weeks of July.
Okay. So you're concurrently doing art camp, an exhibit, and QBL all at the same time.
We're very busy.
You are busy. No, you are. But this is important because it also has some payoff for the quilt show, correct?
Yes. I mean, we've had this conference since 2003, I think. And it's really helped us.
And originally it was in Morrisville.
Yeah.
And you brought it closer here.
Yeah.
And so do people who participate, because I know you judge a lot of quilts for the quilt show that can be from all over the world. Do people who participate in the Quilting by the Lake, do some of their works appear at the quilt show?
Sometimes.
Okay.
I mean, we have...
And I'm looking more so the instructors and the teachers.
The instructors are internationally known. We typically bring in an instructor from South Africa every year, and we've brought in people from Australia and England. So the faculty is top-notch. But some of the students as well are some of the top art quilters in the country. So you're likely to see their work in other shows as well as our show.
One last thing I really want to talk about is you and the Cayuga Museum were the recipients pre-COVID of $1.9 million from New York State through the Downtown Revitalization Initiative that was started by the Cuomo administration. How much was earmarked for both of you?
About 2.4 for the, it's 1.9 for both of us.
Okay, so is it 9.95 for each of you, or is it this is a joint project?
It's it's 1.4 for the Schweinfurth.
Okay.
And about $500,000 for the Cayuga Museum.
And then when it was announced, it was this idea of a West End Arts Campus. So we're not getting into the plans because I know you're in the planning stage.
We are in the design phase.
So what's the idea of a West End Arts Campus?
Well, the idea came about because both of us, the Cayuga Museum and the Schweinfurth, identified the fact that we had some major accessibility issues. And we had talked years earlier about the idea of putting together a unified site plan to make it easier for visitors to maneuver between the various buildings on our two properties.
But you do have a full-fledged elevator that goes to all 3 floors, basement, main floor, and the upper story.
But our main problem was that we did not have an entrance from the parking lot. So people essentially have to walk up the driveway and around the building to come in the front door. So part of our project includes a new entrance.
So the $1.9 million that's coming from Albany,
yes.
Do you have to do a match?
Yes, we have to match that.
You say that with just such glee.
It's
how much?
Reimbursable.
Okay,
so we've got to spend it, and then we can request it.
So remind me about that later. But so do you have to match 1.9 with 1.9 to get it, or
roughly between the two of us? Yeah.
So where are you in that where are you in the fundraising process? And then we'll get into the design
Yeah.
process.
Yeah.
So where are you in the fundraising?
I would say between the state money and the recent federal money that we got through the city.
So
and
what's that? So that's $500,000 for
yeah,
what?
we each got $250,000 to apply to our DRI projects.
Okay. So that helps close
That helps. Yeah.
$3.8 million
Yeah.
gap. Okay.
So I would say for the Schweinfurth, in terms of what we have to raise, we've covered about 60% of the cost.
And you're in the
so far.
silent phase right now.
Yeah.
And you still.
We have a ways to go.
So
yeah.
Is there a deadline for when you need to raise
Well,
the county back?
There's not a deadline. It will impact our construction schedule because obviously we need to
pay for it.
Pay for it.
Okay. So what are some of the things you're in the design phase? So
yeah.
Let's leave the Cayuga Museum out for now. But what do you envision? It's a beautiful building built in the 70s.
Yeah.
Late 70s. You had put a lot of work in prior to DRI to get the second floor operational. It was an area for book sales before, antiques roadshow type things, dead storage. I think pottery occurred up there in some cases. A couple of plays. I remember going to acts up there. So you've finished off a lot.
It's really the second floor is still a multi-purpose space. We have a gallery up there now.
But it's more finished than it was when you got there. Okay.
And we have heating and air conditioning up there now, which we never had until 2020. So that's going to allow us to expand our programs.
So what do you see your portion of the DRI? And we'll have the director, we talked about this, we'll have the director of the Cayuga Museum on later at some point to talk about their side of the what do you see occurring for the Schweinfurth?
Well, what I'm really excited about is the new entrance that we already talked about, and that will include a new elevator as well. But we also hope to expand the front plaza area so it will be more attractive for outdoor events where we could have musicians performing.
So children can only put so much chalk on a given period, a couple pads.
Right.
Because that's, I mean, when you do outside, you go through there and there's kids with chalk and all types of fun stuff, and you have musicians.
We could have receptions outdoors, small performances. So expanding that front area also to open us up to the community, so that it's not such an intimidating building for people to walk into.
I don't think it is an intimidating. I think it's a beautiful building that's just in an odd location.
Well, a lot of people have said that it's a very formal building. And so part of what we want to do is make it more user-friendly. So part of it is improving the front plaza. And another feature that I'm excited about is having what we're calling an outdoor classroom in the back. So we can open up one of our classrooms to the parking lot, and that gives us the opportunity to open up the building to some outdoor programming and interact again with the community a little more.
So you're in the design phase right now.
Yes.
When do you figure you'll finish the design phase?
Well, they're going to be working on the design phase through much of this year. And we're hoping that there will be construction drawings ready by fall.
And so depending on fundraising, your game plan would be to have most of this done in 2023?
Yeah, we're hoping that we can do construction in 2023.
There's been talk about this for years. You obviously got the award in 2019. Was COVID a help or a hindrance when it came to just taking the time and breathing to come up with a plan?
I think...
Because it didn't help on the fundraising side necessarily.
No.
But just sometimes you need thought to say, this is what we want to do.
Yeah. No, I think COVID slowed everything down. So it's I think we needed to do more fundraising, and we were able to secure the money to go ahead with the design phase by the end of last year. So
last question.
Yeah.
22 years there. What do you see as the benefit of this West End Arts Campus? What will be the benefit to you and your constituency, but also to the general west side of the city of Auburn and Auburn at large?
Well, I think I've always thought that we have a lot to offer the community in terms of our facilities, and we're outside of the downtown area, so I think we're easily forgotten because we're 2 blocks away from downtown. And we have a vital community all around us. So our hope is that by improving the design of our sites, we can make ourselves more available to our immediate neighborhoods, and in some ways act as a gateway to the West End, and be a destination for people who are visiting Auburn who might want to do a circuit from downtown Auburn to the Cayuga Museum and the Schweinfurth, and go to the Harriet Tubman Church, perhaps.
Which is about 4 blocks away.
Right.
Okay.
So it's basically to connect us with downtown and some of the other cultural sites, and bring more attention to the West End.
Well, good luck with the project.
Thank you.
Love to have you come on, give an update.
Thank you.
Good luck with Made in New York. I'm looking forward to the neon. One way or the other.
I did want to say also that we had a record number of entries for Made in New York this year.
So hopefully arts are on the swing back.
Yes.
Our guest has been Donna Lamb, the Executive Director of the Schweinfurth Memorial Art Center, located on West Genesee, just west of downtown, and walkable, by the way. Well, we thank her for coming on to talk about not only the downtown revitalization program, but how the arts have been impacted by COVID, as well as what's on the agenda for the Schweinfurth, a great institution that we encourage you to visit if you have not been inside the doors. On Tuesday, we'll be back with Cayuga Community College President Brian Durant to give us a college update, including talking about commencement, which will be on a new date versus its traditional Sunday, and at a new location, not here, on campus. That will be followed by Melissa Kartner of the YMCA, who can give you a different camp day if you're not going to the Schweinfurth, for summer camp at the Y, which will have both overnight and day changes this year. Next Thursday, we'll have 2 back-to-back inside government programs. The first with New York State Senator Pamela Helming, who will talk about the state budget and give us an all-winning update, as well as Assemblyman Brian McDelow, who will be talking about the budget that needs to be adopted by April 1st. Over the next month, we'll have a full slate of guests who will be in the studio. Cayuga County Legislative Chairman David Gould will be here, City Manager Jeff Dygert, Stephanie Hutchinson, the Executive Director of the Auburn Housing Authority, and a representative of Auburn Doubledays will be here. We'll also have Jeff Parazola and Lisa Green of the Auburn School District in to talk about their proposed budget that will go before voters in May. And we'll also finish our annual season with our annual Auburn Enlarged School District Forum on May 3rd. Before we go, though, we would like to let you know you can send us your ideas for guests or questions to cozguytho@aol.com or Inside Government, 141 Dunning Avenue, Auburn, New York. I'm Guy Cosentino for Cayuga Community College. We want to thank you for watching. We hope you have a great tomorrow. Be safe and get vaccinated or boosted if you haven't yet.